We read in newspapers coming from Saudi Arabia and other countries about great ulamas who said that some people are touched with jinn and they treat them by certain ways and they can expel the Satan from their bodies and they hear the jinn coming out. The big mufti, he said that in the papers. What is it true about this?
Can these offer themselves for trials and experiments to others?
I don't know. Maybe.
See, this is the point. About the word jinn, there is so much controversy in the world. There are people who believe that jinn, the word jinn, is applicable only to an invisible form of life, spirit-like, like a ghost. And that form of life is free to move anywhere it chooses. It can go through walls, it can go through anything, and it can be subjugated through verses of the Quran or through some other chantings, for instance. You say chant something like that, they say they can be subjugated and pressed into service of man. That is one view. And the same people also believe that the jinn can sometimes overpower man, forcibly occupy him. So a man lives with two souls and two minds during that period. It's called the haunting period. During the haunting, the jinn is present, and when you speak to the man, it is not the man who answers. Mostly it is, they say women, it is women who are haunted by jinns. It is the jinn who answers back. And the ulama say, we have some tricks up our sleeves. That is, we know some verses of the Quran. When we recite them, then the jinn runs away. Right? And some believe also that the jinns, through verses, can be turned into your servants. And if you tell a jinn to bring a chicken cooked somewhere else, he would just run for it and bring it like an agility, you know. And the jinn of the Aladdin's lamp, you remember?
Yes, yes.
Huh? In Alfu Laylatin wa Layla? That jinn also created so many tricks, you know. So these are the views. But those people, those countries where such jinns are believed to be available, and the great Sufis and ulama and mashayikh, they know how to capture them. They are third world countries, poor people. They can't make the jinn bring the oil out of the earth, spring out. And they cannot make the jinn build industry for them. What sort of jinn are they? You see, it's a strange thing. But first you translate it, then I'll speak of other things. It's a very interesting subject. It always comes up for discussion wherever I go. Now, in this regard, in this particular area, I'll refer to the Holy Quran and see what we find there. We find no mention of any jinn ever capturing a human being. From Bay to Sin, to the first letter to the last letter. Read the Quran 100,000 times, you will not find one mention where Allah tells us that jinn sometimes captures human beings. And if they do, then turn them out. But the Holy Quran tells us that the non-believers say that, not the believers. The Holy Quran repeatedly tells us the mushrikeen in Makkah, the idolaters, they used to say Behil Jinnah, Behil Jinn. And about other prophets also. The claim is never made by a prophet of God about anyone else that he has been captured by Jinn. This is what I mean. See? So false people make the claim, the true people do not. And why did they say Jinn? Because they believe that Jinn is alimul ghaib. He knows things and he can do tricks. So because they saw the signs of the knowledge of the unknown in the words of the prophets of Allah. So they couldn't believe that man to be true. They couldn't believe that it is Allah who is telling him things. So they said it must be Jinn. He must have been captured by Jinn. And those people who were captured by Jinn, according to the mullahs today, like it was also according to the beliefs of the Kuffar Mecca, the idolaters of the Arab world, that once somebody is captured by Jinn, he loses his senses. So in that sense also, the word Janoon indicates as if somebody has been captured by Jinn, he's gone mad. So in that second sense also, they declared the prophets to be Al-Majnoon, visited by Jinn. So remember, the Holy Quran never quotes either God or angels or prophets of Allah or any book of God having declared that some people are captured by Jinn. It declares that the false people, wrongdoers, non-believers, those who believe in idols, they make this claim that some people are captured by Jinn. So where have these ulama learned their Quran? I don't know.
May I make a comment? The ulama mixes the idea of Satan with that of Jinn. And in the Holy Quran, Satan with the Shaitan with the Jinn. And they say that the Quran says مس من يتخبط كما كالذي يتخبطه الشياطين من المس.
This is not the exact word, but I understand.
Yes, this is the idea. So they say that these shayateen are jinn, and the jinn can touch the man and do this harm to him.
What I'm saying is, I understand this point. The Holy Quran, when it speaks of that, it says that when people, evil people, are overwhelmed with their bad desires, they behave as if they have been touched.
By shaitan, not by jinn.
I understand. But even then, kannahu, it doesn't say that it is shaitan which does it. It says they behave as if shaitan has captured them. It's always as if. But that is a different situation altogether. And to turn shaitan out, no prophet of God ever used any verses of any divine book to turn the shaitan out. If there was any such verse, was not Abu Jahl, the chief among them, who had been touched by the shaitan and captured? Was he not?
Yes.
Was it Jinn? If it were Jinn, the ulama know the formula, Rasulullah didn't know the formula. So, sheer ignorance, stupidity, you know. Those who say that, they are touched by Jinn, if anybody is. You see, no prophet of God ever recited any verse from any book over an antagonist or a hostile person and said, all right, you are captured by Jinn, now Jinn go away. Where did it happen? In which book is it mentioned? Yes, in the Bible it is said, in the New Testament. But that is a story no Muslim can believe. Jesus, they say, cast the jinn out of somebody, and that the number of jinns was so many, they went into the minds of the sheep, and all the sheep went mad and just dived into the water and were drowned. Now this is a story of the New Testament. Christians may believe it if they like, but no sane Muslim can ever believe in such a thing, because never such a thing happened at the time of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And according to the version of the Holy Quran, it never happened to Jesus either. It never happened to Moses or any other prophet of Allah. When one is captured by shaitan kana min al-jinn, according to the Quran, which means the jinn are a people who are rebellious, made out of fire. The Holy Quran says, وَخَلَقَ الْجَانَّ مِن مَارِجٍ مِن نَارٍ, which means that he made the jinn out of fire, or a blast of fire. This is an Arabic expression. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ مِنْ أَجَلٍ. What is ajal? How can you make man out of ajal?
Yes.
So this means anybody who has an element of haste in him, he is made out of ajal. Anybody who is fiery, he is made out of fire. This is an Arabic expression of the highest quality. And the Quran has the highest quality of language. So that is why jinn is created from fire, means they are rebellious people. Shaitan is rebellious. Anybody who refuses to believe in authority, he is from fire. That is exactly what Iblis said to God when he was required by God to submit to Adam. You know what he said? He said, I am built out of fire, he is built out of wet clay. Fire will not submit to wet clay. Fire overpowers it. Fire destroys everything. So I am a destructive man. Your prophet Adam is a creative man. He stands for good things. I am evil. I destroy things, he makes things. You see, wet clay makes things, and fire destroys them. The whole cities are raised to ground with fire. So he said, this is my nature, how can you expect me to bow to him? I said, all right, go away. But you're wrong when you say you will conquer the people of clay. When they submit to me, then they will reach beyond they'll go beyond your reach. You'll never be able to destroy them. This is what we read from the Quran. And Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam understood the Quran more than any human being can ever claim. Correct? Now, what he thought of jinn or shaitan, the mullah says one and the same thing. Kana min al-jinn, so shaitan was a jinn. Right or wrong? Right, he was a jinn. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, for every man there is a shaitan that runs into his blood. Where is that fire which runs into your blood or anybody else's blood? Somebody said, Ya Rasulullah, even in your blood there is a shaitan? I said, yes, but he has become Muslim. No, any man with an iota of common sense can understand this. He referred to shaitan or jinn to be that nafs ammara. Nafs ammara is a rebellious nature in man. When you say, do good things, they say, no, I'm not going to do good things. Allah tells you to do this, do that, all the good things. Nafs ammara says, no, don't believe, don't agree. So, nafs ammara of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had got completely subdued. There was no evil voice ever rising from his heart, telling him to do bad things. That is the meaning of his shaitan becoming Muslim. So the Quran is a word of wisdom, profound wisdom. The word of God has to be a word of wisdom. So without wisdom you can't understand. That is the problem. The ulama also refer to the period of Hazrat Dawood and Hazrat Sulaiman and draw their authority from what we find about the Jinn having been captivated by Hazrat Dawood and Hazrat Sulaiman. Correct? Now, what did they do? They did very hard works for them. Masaniya kathira. And they built heavy industry out of this Jinn in the Quran. Correct? So if they draw their authority from the Quran and they know how to do it, they should build some industry in Arabia. What are they doing there? Poor people, backward people of desert and other countries, those Arab countries which have some oil, all right, they are better off. But what about those who do not have any oil? These ulama should have the same jinn employed by Hazrat Dawood and Sulaiman and do some industrial work there. They can't. Which means they don't understand. While the Holy Quran gives enough clues for us to understand. But if you don't have wisdom, you can't do anything, unfortunately. The Holy Quran gives us the clue that these jinns of Solomon and David, peace be upon them, they were shackled in heavy chains. They were taken to work while they were imprisoned, bound in chains. It doesn't say they were bound in verses of the Bible or any of the other divine words. Have you ever read that in the Quran? And what sort of jinns are they who are shackled in chains? They are invisible things. They pass through the stone and walls and the metal. How could chains of iron hold them together? Only verses of the Quran, according to these ulama, could hold them together. And no verses are mentioned in the Quran. The Quran doesn't know that there are such verses. They know. Imagine. The Quran doesn't know that there are some verses which can bind jinns. The ulama know that there are some verses. So when you speak of the jinns of the Solomon and David, the Holy Quran says they were bound in heavy chains, which means they are hardy, sturdy people. They were rebellious people who had been enslaved by the power of Hazrat Dawood and Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam. With the grace of Allah, it was God who had given him power to conquer these people. Now, this is an old custom of those days. Even pharaohs, when they built the great pyramids, they used to move thousands of prisoners in shackles, from one place to the other, to carry heavy stones and heavy works, and they built the pyramids for them. So it is an old custom which is also mentioned in the Holy Quran with reference to Hazrat Dawood, Hazrat Sulaiman, and there is no wonder. So they were the rebellious people who knew, but at the same time, the Holy Quran doesn't say that even one single man was visited and haunted by one of the jinns of Hazrat Dawood. Show me the reference where it is. Then the same ulama quote the Quran by saying that jinn is made out of fire. And they insist this is made out of fire. But when this jinn enters a man or a poor woman, why does it burn it out? What sort of fire that is? It doesn't burn. A woman, delicate woman is captured, her clothes remain exactly the same, her body remains the same, the fire is in her and it does not burn. What sort of fire that is? Then in the Holy Quran it is said, the same jinn who are shackled, in chains, heavy chains, they also dived into the water and took pearls from underneath, brought them out for the sake of the kings, or the prophets of God, for whom they had been made, to serve the cause. Now these jinns, according to the Quran, could delve into the water, go deep and take out the pearls. What sort of fire that was? It didn't quench, not quench the water. So a fire which does not burn, a fire which is not quenched, what sort of fire that is? So if they quote the Quran, they should try to understand the Quran as well. Those jinns were real human beings, a rebellious people who could do heavy works. And they toiled and toiled to do works. And that is why the industry in the time of Hazrat Dawood and Hazrat Sulaiman prospered so much. And when the reign of after the death of Sulaiman, an incapable son sat on the throne, and these people got the wind of it, that there is no more a powerful king like Solomon. They started rebelling. They broke away the shackles, and then they started breaking the empire by capturing small portions here and there. Right? Yet none of them, when free, captured anyone else. Not a single human being. So the Quran doesn't know these things and the ulama know. Strange thing, isn't it? Now I just suggested that if they really believe in what they attribute to the Quran, if they are honest, then they should demonstrate it. They say we have turned the jinn out. Okay, we haven't seen it. Huh? But when they turn the jinn into their servant, then they should invite us to see that. See? Here something becomes demonstrable. If they can't make industry like Hazrat Dawood and Hazrat Sulaiman, built industries out of the jinn, I don't demand, all right, don't build industries. Just for small things, for cooking your bread, for handing over things, for polishing your shoes, for sewing your clothes. When you throw a jinn out of some poor woman, capture him and put him in your house to work. When it begins to produce that work, then we'll see works happening. Then we'll have to believe. But until that, don't make a false claim, please.
May I say a few words? I used Hudur's idea while I was in Sudan.
I see.
There was a mullah. In Sudan, they believe that they...
very much.
Yes, they can do whatever they can by jinn. Then there was a faqih, they call him faqih. He says, I can do everything with jinn. And I'll send the jinn for you. You will not sleep tonight. I told him, not to me, please show the people. You see these few onions there, please bring them. Let them have. You see this money in my pocket, take it please.
Take it out. See?
They said to me, maybe you can use jinn better than him. That's the answer.
Exactly, this is what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yes, this is the same idea.
And tell them your own experiences there. Yes, okay. Now, they also refer to Surah Jinn, or Surah Al-Jinn in the Quran. And they say it is written there that a delegation from among the Jinn came to visit Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. Why do you say there is no Jinn? We don't say there is no Jinn. We say Jinn is not what you think it is. It is different. And from the Quran we prove that it is different from what you think. Jinn, of course there is. The Holy Quran is full of mention of jinns. But we'll believe only in that jinn which the Holy Quran describes, not that jinn which you describe. So, let's see what happened. When the delegation from among the jinn came, they encamped outside Medina, a kilometer or two outside Medina. And Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah went to meet him privately without taking anybody along with him. Except one person. Except one person. Thank you for correction, yes. And he visited and talked with them. And no hadith mentions that he recited any verse of the Quran to charm them. They were free, they discussed things, and they were convinced that Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah was true Prophet of God. Then they affirmed this, they confirmed and professed the faith of Islam by declaring that Muhammad Rasulullah is right and La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Then they went back. Now there are two things which happened. When they went back, next morning when Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah told the people what had happened, people went to see the place where it had happened. And they report that there were signs of fires are being built, as if human beings had come and stayed there.
Ashes.
Ashes. Signs of fire having built, ashes and stones and things, and wood burnt in that fire, like a delegation of human beings had come. Jinns are out of fire. Why should they build fire? What do you mean by jinns building fire? And they were again human jinns because when they returned, first of all, they believed in Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah and they were preached by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. Now, was Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for only that delegation of jinns or for all the jinns? So where did he pray to preach Islam to the rest of the jinns? Only who came to them, came to him, and no to none else? What about the remaining of the poor jinns of the whole world? Why didn't he sometimes go to them and start preaching like he went to Taif and other places of the world? And why did he not pick up fights and quarrels with those jinns? Nowhere it is mentioned. The jinns who came to him believed in him and professed. And you know what they said when they returned? You know that? It says, the Holy Quran tells us, they said we were so stupid. We thought there will be no prophet after the previous prophet. And here is another prophet. They were believers of Khatm Nabuwwat. You see? They thought the prophecy had come to an end. But after somebody else was made a Khatam al-Nabiyyin, Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah, the Khatam al-Nabiyyin appeared. So they must have been human beings who believed like Hazrat Yusuf's followers did. Maybe they belong to those people. Because the Holy Quran tells us about one other people who also believe like the present day Muslims that prophecy of all sorts has come to an end. So when Joseph came, the Holy Quran tells us, they were against him. They said, we don't believe in you, you are a false man. They tried their best to oppose him. But when he passed away, then the same people with the same mentality of opposing prophets, they started building the view that La yabasallahu min ba'dihi ahada or whatever it, no, I don't remember the exact words.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that, Natalia Yusuf. So this is what the Holy Quran tells us. So these jinns must have been the followers of Hazrat Yusuf, or because we don't find any other mention of any other people declaring like this.
Maybe they are Christians because they believe that Jesus is God and there is no prophets are coming after Jesus because
Well, that's a different thing.
Yes.
But they say Jesus himself would come.
Oh, yes.
You see?
Yes.
This is like in every case.
Yes.
They believe somebody would come.
Yes.
And he himself as a prophet would return.
Yes.
So also in that regard, the Muslims also believe that Jesus would come again. There is no wonder. But what I am saying is, the Holy Quran refers to the people of Hazrat Joseph who believe that after Joseph, no prophet will ever be raised by God. This was a positive declaration. And this belief is the belief repeated by the delegation of jinns when they visited Rasulullah. And when they went back, they said, look here, how stupid we are. Safihuna, our stupid people used to say, no prophet would ever come. And here is a good prophet, you see. We have just met him, and we are returning from seeing him. So these were the jinns who wanted to hide their personality, their identity. There must have been delegation from an area where they were afraid of being identified because they were not yet sure how their people would take it.
Maybe there were some sort of relation with the Quraysh and they do not want to.
It is also
possible,
but we are talking not of the Mecca period, we are talking of Medinite period.
Yes.
So what you suggest is that they were friendly to the Quraysh and they did not want this to be known to the Quraysh that they had become Muslims.
Yes.
That is correct, that is possible. I thought you said they were afraid of Quraysh knowing it because they visited Mecca. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Okay. But this happened in Medina, not in Mecca. So it is possible, of course, but it is also possible that they had not yet returned to their people. They had not yet fully tested that when they speak to them and tell them what the reaction would be. So in the beginning, they wanted to hide it a little bit. So, and those people must have been known by the Medinites. Otherwise, they couldn't be recognized. But the last thing in this was that if they were jinns, they should not have been visible to ordinary people. Why should Rasulullah have gone out a few miles out of Medina to meet them in private? When the jinns appear,
they can visit him in his room.
In his room.
Yes.
And you see, when the Maulvis see jinns, we don't see them. Can we?
No.
So when the jinns can show this miracle to the Maulvis, why didn't they show this miracle to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? The mullah's jinn is not visible. And that jinn was visible, otherwise he would not be afraid. You understand? So that's all I have to say for the time being.
Yes.
There is a very large subject. You can say, for hours you can discuss jinns, but later on the remaining part of the jinn subject will be discussed, okay? وَلَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ يُوسُفُ مِنْ قَبْلِ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَلَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ يُوسُفُ مِنْ قَبْلِ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ فَمَا زِلْتُمْ فِي شَكٍّ مِمَّا جَاءَكُمْ بِهِ حَتَّى إِذَا هَلَكَ قُلْتُمْ لَنْ يَبْعَثَ اللَّهُ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ رَسُولًا. The same people who oppose the prophets with same mentality, when the prophets pass away, they say, now God will never send another. This is a mentality. They don't want to accept the prophets. One, okay, with difficulty. After that, no one. So this is the clear mention that the concept of no prophet was also found among other people. But the jinns also refer to that. Safiyuna. وَأَنَّهُمْ ظَنُّوا كَمَا ظَنَنْتُمْ أَلَّنْ يَبَثَّ اللَّهُ أَحَدًا. So these jinns must have been some human jinns belonging to some religions where this belief was found, as the Holy Quran mentions it itself. Please. Now, I'll quote in the end one hadith from Rasulullah which will support my view fully. They tell us that because the jinns did not want to appear to everyone else, they stayed outside Medina. While Rasulullah tells us that the jinns eat the bones of things, so do not wash yourself, clean yourself with bones. So they were all over Medina. You know, who was eating the bones if they were not jinns? And the people couldn't see them. Rasulullah told them, don't, when you go to the call of nature, attend the call of nature, after, going, emptying yourself, when you want to clean yourself with some stone or some piece of earth, do it, but not with bones. The Sahaba must have been wondering why. He said, because the bones are food for jinn, and they will hurt you. So this means all over Medina, wherever there were bones, and bones are everywhere, there were jinns. So why these jinns stayed out of Medina? They should have come and started eating bones and also discussing things. So they don't understand. What are those jinns which eat bones? Do you know? Yes? What are those?
Germs.
Bacteria.
Bacteria,
Yes.
viruses.
Viruses, germs. Rasulullah who received the Quran, he was the wisest man on earth. When the concept of germs was not known to the West or anywhere in the world, about 1200 years before that happened, God had told him that there is something, some invisible creature called Jinn. And those who eat bones, they are also jinns. So we believe in every form of jinn which the Holy Quran describes. And we reject every form of jinns in which the mullahs believe. All right. This is also an ayah in favor of the truth of Muhammad Rasulullah. But when no one on earth knew that there was an invisible, minute thing which eats the bones and you can't see it, he knew it. That means he was the true prophet of Allah. Beloved by the Alimul Ghaib wa Shahada.